Hello, my name's Scott. I'm a professional magician and this is a magic review.
It's a kind of magic.
In today's review, we're looking at ClearChoice by Thinking Paradox. I actually got this a couple of years ago when I purchased a product called Ring to Shoelace, or Anillo al Zapato, which was a trick that Adrian Carletera fooled Penn and Teller on Fool Us with. So if you're interested in Ring to Shoelace, at the end of this review, I'll put it up here and you can watch the review of that trick. But when I purchased that, I got ClearChoice, and I think it deserves its own review. My TLDR on ClearChoice is that it's fantastic. It's such a brilliant sound method of forcing some information. It makes sense. There's no ridiculous moves, there's no electronics, there's no special gadgets or gizmos involved. It's all very natural. So overall, I think this is a fantastic method that Thinking Paradox have come up with to force some information. I do have an issue with a couple of points in the project, but I'll touch on that in the final thoughts. For the most part, I highly recommend ClearChoice if you're looking for a natural and clever way of forcing some information. But what is ClearChoice? I will put a little bit of footage up on the screen in a few moments, but essentially what ClearChoice is that you have a glass and then you will have your audience, whether it be a close-up audience or whether it be a parlor or slightly bigger on stage, and you'll have an empty glass and people on post-it notes, on sticky notes, on just pieces of paper, however you want to perform it, they will write something down, they will scrunch the pieces of information, whether it be a drawing or a word or a number, something like that. They will scrunch it up and then you will walk around the audience and you will get everyone to pop their note back into the glass, and then you can mix up the glass upside down like this. You can pass the glass to a spectator, you can have them mix it up, it can be thoroughly mixed, and then simply by offering the glass to a spectator, they can pick out one of the post-it notes and that's going to be the forced information. You can also potentially, when they choose one of these notes, you can offer them to change their mind, and that is super fair. So they can even put one back and then take another one, which is just baffling when spectators try to think back about how the trick might have been accomplished. But that's what ClearChoice is. It's a way of forcing some information with some scrunched up notes in a glass. And what do you get with it? When you purchase ClearChoice, what you're getting is approximately a 20-minute download, and the instructions are done by Adrian Carletera. The instructions are fantastic. They take you through everything. As I said at the beginning of this review, I got ClearChoice a couple of years ago when I purchased Ring to Shoelace. And at that time, you could only purchase ClearChoice through Thinking Paradox website. And the video that I received was in spoken Spanish with English subtitles. But recently, I've noticed that ClearChoice has been made available through lots of other dealers. So it's available in lots of different places now. And I don't know if it's exactly the same instructions, but what I received when purchasing ClearChoice was an instructional video that was shot really well in a studio, in a performance space, and it was spoken Spanish with English subtitles. How easy is it though? Very easy to perform. You don't need to do much really. You can be quite heavy-handed with this. You don't need any dexterity. There's no gimmicks involved. There's no intricate, complex mechanics involved. It is literally what you see. You ask people to put these notes back in the glass, you shake it. As long as you can do all of these things, you can basically perform it. So it will take a little bit of courage if you're a beginner to perform it properly, and you will need to be able to implement a small moment of misdirection into your performance. But I think that it's a very simple, a very easy method, and I don't think too many people will struggle to get a good grasp of this fairly quickly. And the reset time is really fast. So there's two things with the reset time. One is that this is not the kind of effect or the kind of method where you're going to perform it repeatedly. This is probably something you're going to use in a set performance, which obviously means that it won't get reset until the performance is ended and you're ready to reset for another performance. But everything is normal. So the glass is normal, the notes are normal, you can use a normal pad of sticky notes, you can use normal cut up paper. It's very easy to set up and it's very fast to set up, but that does need to be done out of sight of the spectators and the audience. This is not something that you can set up during a performance realistically. So it will just take a small moment, 30 seconds, 1 minute of time doing something very simple to get everything in order so that you can perform it. And the angles on this are really good. So it depends on how you're performing this to how good the angles are. I would say that realistically you would want a traditional performance scenario where you have an audience sat either in front of you, 90 degrees to you, or kind of 180 degrees as well. Anyone on your extreme sides, anyone behind you, and you're going to need to body block, you're going to need to use some movements, or if you don't want to do that, you could potentially do something like you could pull your top pocket handkerchief out and you could put it over the glass and leave it for a moment to settle, and then take your handkerchief and blow your, or whatever you want to do with it. But it is possible to do this completely surrounded. It just depends entirely on your presentation and performance style. If you're performing it in the way that it's shown in the trailer though, where it's very fair, it's very open, nothing happens other than this to mix up the notes, then you will need to have a somewhat traditional performance situation where no one's behind you or on your extreme sides. Pocket space is fantastic as well. You will need a glass. In my performance, when I previously used ClearChoice, used this glass. This is Joshua J's collapsible glass, and it worked fine, even though it's not the recommended shape, because Adrian on the instructions, he does take you through the ideal shape of glass. It does need to be a stemmed wine glass, realistically. That's going to help you a lot, and depending on the shape of the wine glass, there's going to be pros and cons due to how narrow the mouth is, how wide the bottom is, and things like this. So there are glasses that are better shapes than others, but as I say, I used this and it worked fine. I would suggest that you don't use something like a tumbler that doesn't have a stem on it. The stem is quite important to the way that the method works. And other than the glass, which I don't think you'll be carrying in your pocket, it will be in your performance space somewhere, you will need to take up one pocket of something. And that will be either in your trouser pocket or in a side pocket. And that is something that you will need to have the little moment of misdirection with the glass itself. And as I say, that will take up a small amount of a pocket. So if you imagine a small fruit, like a really small apple, that's roughly the amount of pocket space that this is going to take up before your performance. Hopefully that's covered pocket space well enough. And now my final thoughts. If you can't tell, I think it's fantastic. I've used it myself. I will use it again in future performances. It's a really solid method. The only issue I have with it is price. I think it is a little bit pricey for what it is. It's a fantastic method. I don't know how long it took to create the method. I don't know how long it took to record the instructions or how much money it costs to record the instructions, but currently it's about £36. And on Thinking Paradox website, it's a bit more expensive, but currently reduced to £36. As I say, I think that's a bit pricey. Not so much for professional magicians, because that's just a small bit of a performance fee. And of course, this is something that I think a lot of people will get use out of. That's the only real issue for me with it. I think that £36 is a bit steep for what is a fairly simple method of forcing some information. Other than that, I highly recommend it. I don't think you'll be disappointed with the method. I think once you use the method, you will see how strong it is. You will see that spectators enjoy the interaction. They enjoy being able to be part of the performance, writing something down and then picking something out. And I think that's what we all want in a performance, right? We want it to feel organic, we want it to be entertaining, we want it to be engaging for our audiences, and this fulfills all of those things. For all of those reasons, I highly recommend ClearChoice by Thinking Paradox. If you have any questions about this, leave it in a comment below. If you found this review useful or helpful, insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next review.